Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about an option that you can do when your weapon inventory and your summon inventory get full. Now you've got several options that you can use, including selling your items, reducing your weapons or summons, or you can use them to build each other up. But one option that you have is to go ahead and reserve your weapons. By reserving your weapons or your summons, you can take experience points from the weapon and store it into an item that you can use later on a future weapon and help buff that particular weapon up. It is very important to note, though, that you don't want to reserve just anything. Let's go down the list. For normal weapons, you don't want to reserve them. You're better off going ahead and just selling them. For rare weapons, we have the same thing. You don't want to go ahead and reserve them. They are better off served being sold for the rupees. For SR weapons, I personally like to have one fully unlocked copy, and then you can go ahead and reserve them. For skill tokens or angel upgrades, these are perfect fodder for reserving, so I would recommend going ahead and reserving them. It gets trickier though with SSR weapons. The rule of thumb for SSR weapons is if you have a weapon that you only got through a gacha pool, then you want to hold on to it. Also, depending on what the current status of the game is, if you have a top tier of raids and you're getting weapons from that, or if you're building yourself up through the game and you're not quite at the top tier, but you have a tier that you're currently capped at, you don't want to reserve those weapons. You want to hold on to them to fully unlock, and then you can go ahead and reserve the other copies. Personally, I like to have about 9 of each weapon unlocked, and then I'll go ahead and reserve the other copies for the farmable items. Now, if it's a story SSR, I like to have at least one fully uncapped copy, and then I'll go ahead and reserve that. So those are the rules for reserving weapons in a nutshell. For summons, it's a bit different. I don't like to reserve my SSR summons. I don't have too many though, so that might be why. But you do want at least one fully uncapped copy, and then you can reserve the rest. For SR summons, you want to have one fully uncapped carbuncle of each type, and then you can go ahead and reserve the rest. Many of the other SR summons you can go ahead and just reserve. And just like with weapons, normal and rare summons, you can go ahead and sell those instead of reserving them. So there's also reducing weapons, which essentially takes the weapon and breaks it down into various parts, which will also include weapon stones or element stones. And these are handy for upgrading various weapons later on in the game. Personally, I like to go back and forth between reducing my SRs and reserving my SRs, but I never ever want to reduce my SSRs. Those are only reserved. However you want to do it, you can go ahead and do it that way. There are a lot of guides online on Google, but this is how I personally do it. Let's take a look at reserving a weapon or two. I'll take open my SRs. And we see here one fully uncapped copy here. So I'm going to take this weapon, and the game allows you to make certain selections. So I have this on rotate. So one copy will be reserved and the next will be reduced. I'm manually handling this right now, so I'm going to go ahead and hit reserve. It's going to pump it from 852 points to 853 points. It's an SR weapon, so that's why it's going to the SR level. And then the XP is going to go ahead and give it about 120 XP points. Once the bar is full, then we get another weapons token, and each token can be used to level up a weapon of your choosing in the future. I'm going to go ahead and click use, click OK, and there it is. The weapon is gone from my inventory, and those points have been reserved. Now, what happens if I want to use that reserved weapon? Well, let's go ahead and let's filter for SSR weapons. Let's find one that I currently have equipped. Perfect. This weapon has some leveling to do, so I'll go ahead and click upgrade. And this little chalice here is the culmination of all of the experience points and skill points. And then I'll go ahead and you can see it'll bump it up from 181 to 183 thanks to the experience points that were put in there. And then I got a grand success, which is a bonus. I also want to point out that you don't have to reserve one item at a time. You can mass reserve the items using this reserve page. You can filter by whatever category you want to use. Select the items that you want to reserve, and then hit reserve. Or if you've gone through the sort options, you can hit auto select, and items that you've already marked to be a reserved item will come up here. You'll see how many points you'll be getting for these items, and you can go ahead and hit use, and it will tell you what was reserved, what was the progress that you made, and then you can go ahead and hit OK. And I typically just do it until I no longer have absorbable materials. And that goes by a lot faster than doing the one at a time method. So the one at a time method does usually work for me when I'm going through story weapons and just needing to reserve or reduce one item at a time. All right, and that's reserving your weapons or summons in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have any other tips that I may have overlooked, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to adjust my methods. Otherwise, go ahead and please leave a like if you liked this video. Subscribe if you want to see more tips and tricks for Granblue Fantasy or other videos. I have a couple for World of Warcraft in the future. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.